Alright, so hi guys and welcome back to yet another video. So in today's video we are going to be looking at I guess you could say the threshold from the first house to the second house, whilst also looking at the threshold from the seventh house to the eighth house, and then looking at the opposition between the second and the eighth house. So yeah, what brought this forward for me, this idea, was I was looking in the mirror and I was trying to get an eyelash out of my eye, and as that eyelash, I wouldn't usually touch the eyelash to get it out, but today I did. So I just tried to take it out, but it didn't get a little bit at the end, so I kind of blinked and then it was gone. It was fine. It was eureka. No more agitating eye, right? And then it just made me think about the eyes and the purpose of the eyes and where did that go, you know, where did that little piece go? Because I didn't see the rest of it come off, you know, here. So maybe did it go to the back of my eye, or I'm not sure. So it did, it got me thinking about the first house, and even looking in the mirror is a very first house thing, which is kind of interesting because 12th house, first house threshold. I think that was kind of stated in a video that I did before, so it's funny making those connections. But yeah, the 12th house of the smokes and mirrors, right? Smokes and mirrors, like who are you? Who are you? You know, who is the real you? And we've kind of discussed that already. But then coming into this first house and this is you, right? This is your mirror. You know, you look in the mirror, this is me. I'm looking through filter of the camera, this is me. And other people, 7th house opposite, the house of the other people giving me comments about things and about life. This is me, right? And also the first house, right? Because you get that too. So there's comments from other people, but then in the first house, there's also comments from other people too. But at the same time, it's more of that self-development process in the first house in comparison to the 7th house, which is more to do with relationships. So yeah, the first house I see as these eyes, right? So your eyes, the window to the world, and also the window to your soul. So you're coming from the first, and then your window down to your soul, which is the 4th house, right? So well, it's really to do with the concept, I guess you could say, you know, it's a concept of the idea to do with the soul, because I don't think we can necessarily pin down exactly what the soul is and what it's all about. The soul is a very difficult thing to describe. However, when it comes to astrologically speaking, the first house to the 4th house is more of that, it's that inner pull. So you're being pulled down to your depths where you're addressing your unconscious. So whether that be, of course, your unconscious emotional patterns, or your unconscious thought patterns, or to do with the past, of course, the 4th house as well. But yeah, it's that 4th house that represents that deep pull into you, your inner being, your inner self, right? So yeah, it's suggesting the sort of flavor of that, the flavor of you as you, how you feel that to be, okay? So back to this first house, right? So we're going from the first house and we're entering this threshold into the second house. So if the first house is really to do with our identity, so how we perceive ourselves based on our opinions about ourselves, and also the opinions of others towards ourselves as well. So if the first house is to do with looking in the mirror, and it's to do with your identification of you, your perception of you, and who you see every day in that mirror, right? Then as we come through to the second house, this threshold, what we actually enter into is we go past just your face, so you looking at you, right, in the mirror, whatever, but we go to your whole body. You go to your whole body. And what's interesting about this, right, I just want to highlight here that in the physical appearance of the zodiac signs, I also mentioned body parts within the first house. However, what I'm actually starting to realize is that The second house is more to do with other body parts. I believe that this is a theory that was brought forward from Howard Saspertaz in his book, The 12 Houses. And whenever I did read his book, first of all, I don't think it clicked for me properly, my own understanding of it, but after rereading that material, I can see what he was getting to. So I think the way he was approaching it was, well, okay, when it comes to your physical body, you wouldn't say, I am a hand or I am a leg. You would say, I have a hand, right? These are my hands. These, you know, I even remember talking about this in the second house video. And just, you know how things, you just do it and then it just doesn't click. You just don't, you don't properly get it. But then, anyway, yeah, these are your hands, these are your legs, these is this is my stomach, right? These are my feet. So that in connection with the second house is the I have. So there's that slogan connected with Taurus in the second house of I have, you know, so you own something, you're having something, you're possessing something. So I can see how that connects in with the body in that way. So I guess when it does come to the body as well, you could say I am tall or I am short. So I can also see how the first house plays in with physical appearance. I am, yeah, because you could say I am skinny or I am fat or I am anorexic or I am obese or I am petite. So there is this identification that we have with the body. So perhaps for that physical appearance, I can kind of see how that filters in with the first house and still connects. But it also is to be joined with the second house, I believe. Yeah, I think it's that threshold from the first to the second, which is the connecting of your I am attitudes towards yourself with your I have attitudes towards yourself. Because when you are just really young, just a baby, you don't really have any awareness of you. But then next thing you know, like you're looking at your body and you're looking at yourself in the mirror every day and your parents are telling you, this is you, this is you. Hey, look, this is you. So I can see how in a way the first house has been referred to as a mask then, where it's like other people may put that mask on for you in a way to say this is your mask and this is the identity that you're going to have throughout the rest of your life, Hannah, you know. And I guess it kind of is true, right? When I think about that, it's just that I believe that still, with it being the mask that it is or whatever referred to, it's also understanding that we have to wear a mask in order to exist at all on this planet, right? For survival, we have to put on our masks to get out and make it throughout the day. We have to basically wear a face, right? We all have to wear a face, whether that face is fake or genuine or true or not. The face is your face. Your mask is your mask. We're all wearing a mask. You have your identity. We all have an identity. Everybody has an identity. If you're on this planet as a human being, you have an identity of some kind. So that mask represents that very identity, but at the same time, it's trying to uncover what's behind the mask. Whilst the mask is still a part of us, a part of you, what's behind it as well? But then what's behind that one? And what's behind the one behind that? And then that's where we get that infinite possibilities of, well, 12th house stuff, right? But we'll not confuse things. So you come from the first to the second house and it joins your face, it joins your identity, how you see yourself, how others see you, through the world you go through on your hero's journey. And the second house comes along and you really start to pay attention to the things that you have, the things you possess, the things that you own. Whether that be that you say, yes, I have my arms and I have my legs and I have my back, right? Yes, bring them with you. bring that, you know, it's your vehicle anyway, right? It's basically a car. Our bodies are just like cars, and we still say we have cars, right? You know what? This body is our vessel. It is our vessel, and so it should be treated as such. Which in a way leads me into the second house in general, because it's through the second house that we learn about the importance of actually nurturing and loving our bodies and giving our bodies the nutrition that it needs, the food that it needs, the health that it needs, really, in terms of yeah, do you know what? That's a good point, because whilst the sixth house is to do with health, the second house I can also see as something to do with health, but it's more of that catalyst towards the sixth house where we're like reassessing what we've learnt in our second house, because the health in the second house is more connected with, I believe, your early years, so your early self-development and the kind of foods that perhaps you would have eaten within your family unit or within your home. So security, of course, second house has to do with physical security. So I can see how it's the second house can kind of, it can set up an individual for their sixth house to see, well, how's that going to play out for them then, given the diet that they had whenever they were younger. So it's really paying attention to those eating patterns and things. I think that's what I'm starting to visualize right now in my mind, because I've just went on. We're just going with this, guys. So yeah, the second house I can see as a very important house in that way when it comes to our physical body and how we eat. But not only how we eat, but also how we relax, how we have some downtime just to chill, you know. Just the thing about the Taurus archetype is that it's to do with comfort and pleasure, right? But at the same time, it's also building on your security, meaning that it is the archetype of Taurus that can show the collective the importance of doing your work and making a living, you know, earning an income, but also being able to balance that out in a way where it's healthy, in a way that it won't necessarily impact your second house stuff. Because, I mean, if you think about it, right, if say for example there is a working man and he has a family of 4, and we're just going to go with the traditional route, right, where he's working 50-60 hours a week, right, and he then misses so much of his connection, his opportunity to get to know his children or bring them up or raise them in any way, because he's constantly working. And so that action can of course impact the home, it can impact the second house, it can impact a child's value, it can impact how they view themselves. Because if you think of that situation, that scenario, let's say for example there were 3 boys in that household and there was 1 daughter who was the youngest daughter, right? We'll go with that. And if that is a daughter and they're really wanting to get to know their father and then their father's gone, then it can create issues for that daughter, where that daughter doesn't feel so special, that daughter doesn't feel very valued, that daughter doesn't feel seen at all. That daughter didn't get to have a proper connection with her father, and so that can lead on to other issues for the daughter. In terms of how she values herself, and if it's that she doesn't value herself very much due to this disappearance of a father figure, then she may seek out similar types of people, of course, to fill that void for her. So as you can see, there's a lot that can escalate from the second house and also from the 4th, okay, because the 4th, what I just described, is very similar in what's going on there with the second, because they're both to do with security, but the 4th is more emotional security, the second is more physical security. The example that I just said can, yeah, it can it can basically show similar kind of vibrations, but also very different. But I don't want to get into too much of that because that's another video. But I digress, guys. This second house, there's a lot of impact located within the second house, and so this is the threshold. This is us entering into the second house and building upon our value system. Of course, this house also represents how we earn an income, how we earn a living for ourselves. So this could be impacted by our upbringing in terms of, well, this is how my parents maybe did things, because I actually had a conversation with my dad the other day and my mum. And my mum said that my dad would balance out all of our finances every year evenly. There's 6 of us growing up, so every year balanced out. And I have Libra ruling my second house. So it could be how the home, the financial security, that upbringing, how they earned an income as well in that regard, but then that also sets you up for similar material spending, financial attitude. So similar attitudes in relation with all these things. So for me, I know that I am very much about, well, if I don't have the money, I'm not going to spend money, if that makes sense. I really just, I know that credit and everything is really good if you want to get a mortgage and everything else, but I'm just the type of person that if I don't have money, then I'm not going to spend money that I don't have, if that makes sense. Because that's what my mom always told me, that she raised me that way. But at the same time, I do still see how credit and things can be really beneficial for property investments, for security, for building a home or raising a family. So I can also see the good side of that. And so for me, perhaps it's seeing from both sides of that, and also noticing that, yes, I may have that attitude of not spending the money I don't have, but that doesn't necessarily mean that if I get a credit card, if I do something on credit, that I should never do that, if that makes sense. That as long as I have my head screwed on and I'm sensible about it, it's fine. So yeah, the second house really can set us up in terms of our own understanding and awareness of our spending and how much finances we choose to accumulate throughout our lives. And then also the types of jobs that we want to get into, those types of talents perhaps. So maybe you want to make a living from the talent that you have within the second house. So that is a common thing. Then we go to this 8th house, and what I just described there was a bit of that escalation, I guess you could say. For when you can go from the 2nd to the 8th, that whole thing that I just talked about, that is an example of what can escalate, okay, over the years when it comes to intimate relationships. Because we come from our own personal physical security, and then we're coming to the physical security and emotional security of two people. So yeah, the 8th house, whilst it's not necessarily referred to as a physical security house, I'm still kind of seeing how the 2nd filters into the 8th house and still creates this magnetic, like, it creates this axis, right? I can see how they lock together. So whenever two people enter into a union, that's the 7th house. So if we're going to go with the traditional route again, maybe within the 7th house you got married, and then you come to this 8th house, and this is to do with the property that you both own. So this is, again, this is a union of finances. This is joint finances. This is a combination of, well, what's yours is mine, what's mine is mine. No, what's yours is mine, yes. But it's that similar thing. That's what happens in the 8th house. The 8th house is basically you living with your spouse, and you've got property together, and you're making all the investments you gotta make, and you're deciding who gets what shares, really. Like when you both die, you're maybe both organizing your plans, so like your life insurance, things like that. I don't know, to be honest, I don't know much about the documentation that's needed when it comes to death and everything. Yeah, and you know, I don't really know much when it comes to insurance overall. I don't know. There's just a lot. There's a lot of financial matters that exist when it comes to two people, and also when it comes to ourselves, because this is the thing. You're bringing the second house stuff that you learn when you're a bit younger, so you have your idea of how money should be, but then you're coming to the opposite house, 8th house, and you're gonna get to see, well, how do your money matters combine with another person's money matters. And also when it comes to the intimate relationships, how does that go? How often are you having sex, huh? How often are you doing it? Maybe you don't want to have sex this week and your partner does. And it's like, what about me? Or maybe it could be a matter of intimacy. Maybe it could be a matter of you have not shared that connection in a long time, where maybe before, when you were dating in your 5th house, you used to go to dinner and you used to do the whole shebang, you know, romance and candles and hearts and chocolates, and you used to do all that in your 5th house. But then you come into this really intimate relationship, and it's like, you don't even buy me chocolates anymore. You don't even buy me chocolates anymore. Where's my chocolates? Yeah, there's a scenario. Intimacy. What else can we say for intimacy? Be good to know your thoughts and opinions as well, guys. I'm just kind of going with this in terms of trying to show you the 2nd, 8th house crossovers and the oppositions. Intimacy. Maybe it could be that your partner would write music to you. Maybe that's how they got you in the 5th house, you know, when it came to your dating. I mean, for example, if you have Taurus ruling your 5th house, or maybe Libra ruling your 5th house, or Gemini ruling your 5th house, maybe it's that someone would write you poetry or write you songs or sing for you, or maybe that happens, right, in your younger years, or you're dating, and then they're not writing you the love songs anymore. They're not writing you the love letters anymore. Why? What's going on? Why is it dying out? Come on, we need to do something to transform this relationship, because if we don't, we're gonna die. It's gonna be over, okay? If we do not sort out our fighting and our feuds and our these times when we just get under each other's skin, if we don't look at those things, then it just can't. It's toxic, it's hideous, it's, people won't understand it, it's domestic, it's grim, it's you just don't even want to tell anybody how dark it gets, how bad it gets. And you know what, even if you're not married, you know, the 7th house is also this committed partnership. So you could be with someone committed, and then the intimacy comes in, and the unconscious projections, the unconscious integrating, the dark moments of yourselves come to a head anyway. And it's these moments that can make or break anyone. It's these times. So this 7th house, 8th house threshold, it is magnetic, it is powerful. It's that house that basically will force you to transform through those times, force you. And even if it's not necessarily where you're coming to a feud constantly, but actually within your relationship, your intimate relationship after getting married, perhaps for you, you actually realize just how much you connect and how you can get so intimate with one another, and you feel so strongly about this person that, you know what, I'm not ever gonna give up on you because I love you so much. Like, I love you so much, and we're gonna transform together, and I'm in it, ride or die. I'm in it with you, my love. I'm in it. Scorpio ruling the 8th house can show that type of relationship. Powerful. So it's even these types of experiences that can transform you, transform a person, transform the other person. Essentially meaning that it's this 8th house that is like this Kundalini house. It is this intertwining of the two snakes, just, you know, joining. It's to show that bond, that complete bond, that merging of two humans together. This energy exchange that's so huge. And this, I guess, leads me on to sex when it comes to the 8th house, because yes, it can be sex, but at the same time, I believe that casual sex is the 5th house. That's just your casual kind of sex. But the 8th house is the intimate sex. So there's a big difference. Now, to be honest, there's some people who perhaps stay in that arena of casual sex their whole lives, and that's okay. That's their choice. But it's just not to get mistaken with casual to intimate, because I believe that there's a huge difference. So whilst the 5th house is to do perhaps just with dating, right? So you're dating someone and, you know, you're sleeping together, right? But maybe it's not necessarily that you're in a committed relationship with that person. But at the same time, even if you're in a committed relationship with someone, you may experience more casual, because the thing with the 8th house is that the intimacy comes out through emotion. Right? The intimacy is to do with the pure, sheer desire, passion of joining and connecting so intimately with another human being, because you really care about them, and because you see into their deeper layers, right? So yeah, even if one is in a committed relationship, they might not fully get that intimacy from their partner, because maybe their partner has things that they have to work on within themselves emotionally. There could be emotional repression, things like that. So again, 8th house, right? It's so interesting seeing how all of these just formulate into reality, and then you can see the structure. It's pretty cool. So yeah, when it comes to this 8th house of sex and intimacy, it is it's very powerful, and this leads me back to energy exchange, because the thing is that it's also the 8th house that shows us the energy exchange that actually happens during sex overall. So even if you are having casual sex with someone, or even if you are having intimate sex with someone, there's still energy exchange. So the 8th house is kind of like that dumping ground, so to speak, when it comes to all of the sexual experiences that you've accumulated throughout your life. So it kind of goes into that house, and depending perhaps on the types of people you've attracted into your life, the energies that you've sort of picked up, I think it's about addressing those things. It's about assessing, why did I attract X, Y, and Z into my life? Why did I go for someone who was emotionally unavailable? Is it possible that they're reflecting back to me that I'm actually emotionally unavailable? That's why I attracted them. So once I make peace with that, how do I cut that? How do I make peace with the situation to see that actually no, perhaps it is, they were showing me this about myself, maybe I found that out. However, that doesn't mean that I have to go and continue being that way. I can actively work on overcoming those fears of having an emotional connection with someone. I can do that. I can bring that out of myself. I can give that. I can integrate that into my conscious awareness, right? This integration. Of course, I am not suggesting, guys, that you should go and make a list of all the people that you've slept with and just, you know, make peace with them and scratch them all off. No, it's not what I'm saying. Now, if there's a serious issue that arises within an intimate relationship you're having, I think it's good to sort of reassess perhaps where you've come from in terms of the people you have attracted. I think it's a good idea to do that. However, at the same time, you can also say to yourself, well, you know what? I'm going into this new experience with somebody. So what I'm going to do for myself before moving forward is I'm going to make peace with my past. I'm going to reflect on my experiences. Now, this can be difficult to do if you're not aware, of course. And that's it. That's also why I think it's important to realize that we need the other when it comes to our awareness. So it's like really just trying to reflect on and reassess your own sexual energy and those types of things that you have accumulated, but knowing that you can let those things go because those things do not define us as humans, right? They don't. I think that's the thing. It can be horrible where you get guilt and you get shame and you feel rejection, and it's like, you've been with how many people? You know, you've been with 20 people, with 30 people. You know, you're a skank. You're a skank. Just we'll not get into that. Like, it's ridiculous how we can so easily shame others for who they choose to sleep with and be with. We do that to each other. But at the same time, I think that if it gets to a point in our lives where we reflect on a certain path that we're on that can be quite self-destructive, okay, 8th house is also quite self-destructive, you know, perhaps you get passed on a lot of STIs, you've had I know it's horrible, I'm sorry, but maybe abortion can come in, 5th house matters, or it could even be where you end up in a flippin' den somewhere, you know, you end up being abused by someone, you end up being manipulated by someone, you end up being violated by someone. If you find yourself on this path when it comes to sexual experiences, right, and you see how much chaos and destruction it's bringing into your life, then that's when I think it's really good to reflect on our lives a bit. For our own well-being, right? For ourselves, for our own well-being. Also for the ones that we love, right? You know? We have to remember that as much as we may believe, right? As much as we may believe that if we die, right? 8th house matters. If we die, no one's going to remember us, or everyone's just going to forget about me and I'm no good, and if I die, no one would notice. As much as we believe that, we think that, that is not true. 8th house, what can I say? It gets you passionate and intense. Okay, so maybe highlighting more how the 2nd and the 8th are really integrated as well. Furthermore, perhaps when it comes to all those things that I just said, right? So maybe you feel in this dark place in the 8th house. You feel like you've no will. You have no will to live whatsoever. We go back to the 2nd house and maybe we can try to figure out, like, well, what's their value system? How was their security, physical security? Why do they not feel worthy? Why do they feel like they're not enough to be on this planet right now? Let's go over to the 2nd house, please, and have an assessment here so we can help this individual see that they are worthy and that they are enough. How about that? Now, of course, the 8th house also filters into the in-laws. It filters into I guess you could say, inheritances, right? So it could be a matter of, well, my husband's father, he's going to leave 100,000 inheritance money to my husband, and that's going to be great for our property that we want to buy in the countryside in 10 years. So another thing that I just thought that I would want to add here when it comes to the 8th house is death. The death side, I can see how well the 8th house helps us realize that even though our bodies die off, right, and all our possessions are left with us, right, that happens, they're faded away. It's in this 8th house that we see that there is the transformation, that the soul, that, well, if this is what you believe, obviously, because it's quite interesting, the 9th house is right after this house, and it's all to do with our belief systems. So even that threshold between the 8th and the 9th of you dying, and then you have a certain belief of, well, I'm going to go to heaven, right? So if you are a Christian, for example, your belief is in Jesus Christ, that Jesus Christ died for you and that he is your savior, and so whenever you die, you're going to go to heaven and you're going to see those pearly white gates. 8th house, 9th house transition in that regard. I'm not saying that in the 8th house that's the end of the cycle. No, the 8th house is more so to do, I believe, with those transformations within our bodies on earth already. So it's those sort of mini deaths and rebirths that we have throughout our lives, where we're constantly shedding off our skin and more skin is growing in its place. But even though our bodies may die, right, and wither away, the 8th house shows us the symbology in that energy living on, that energy transfers to a different form of energy, that it's this energy, we can't see it, right? I mean, you can't see the 8th house, it's mystery, it's the occult, it's what's behind the veil. So even though death is this really terrifying experience for us all, and of course, like I said, it's inevitable, and it can just happen so unexpectedly as well, but it's kind of still taking that thing from The Lion King where he says, when we die, our bodies become the grass, and then the antelopes eat the grass. And so we are all connected in the great circle of life. The snake will keep biting its tail, eating its tail continuously. Of course, I'm not saying that death isn't something that we shouldn't mourn over, that we shouldn't be concerned with. Of course, that's another thing. It really gets you emotionally when it comes to your loved ones passing and things, and it can be really dark times for us whenever that happens, and that's why it's good for us to go into our solitude and sit with ourselves or be around people that can uplift us and support us through those times. Again, you rise up, right? Someone you love dies, you feel so heartbroken and so hurt. But again, you rise up, you continue, you have a transformation yourself, right? So yeah, with that all being said, guys, I hope that this video made sense, that you got something from this video. Let me know what you thought as well in the comments. It'd be great to know your thoughts and opinions. And with all that being said, Mercury and Leo is coming next, and then we're going to do Mercury and Sagittarius to end the series of the Mercury series. So yeah, with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And of course, if you would like to see more videos from myself, then go right ahead and click the subscribe button. And I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!